All right, 2.4, variables and equations. Okay. Let's talk about the definition for equation. Okay, an equation is a mathematical sentence formed All right, an equation is a mathematical sentence formed by placing an equal sign between two expressions. Okay, that's what an equation is. Okay, now, solution, for our purposes, when we talk about an equation, we're going to really be talking about an equation that has a variable in it. Okay. You can make an equation, you could say 4 plus 8, and then on the other side equals 9 plus 3. That would be an official equation, okay? But for our purposes, what we're going to talk about when we talk about an equation, it's going to be a variable expression on one side of the equal sign and a number or another variable expression on the other side of the equal sign, okay? And we're trying to find all the values for the variable that would make the statement true, okay? For our purposes, we're going to be dealing with some simple ones first off. We're going to talk about basically one-step equations. They don't take, in other words, there's not two different things you've got to do to solve it. Now, some of the ones we're going to talk about, you might have to simplify first. Please understand that simplify and solving are not necessarily the same thing. Okay, simplifying is taking an expression down to its lowest terms. Okay, solving is finding a value for a variable. Okay, let me give you two examples. If we had this, if I had 4 times x plus 3, okay, we've just been discussing that, just had a test on it yesterday. Okay, this would be evaluate, or they may say simplify the expression. Okay? So if we simplify that or evaluate that, then we just multiply the 4 times both terms, and that gives me 4x plus 12. Okay? This is simplified. Okay, that's its lowest name. That's it. You can't do it any further. Okay, so that's what they mean by simplified. Okay? Solving is not the same. Solving, I have to have something like this. Okay? Solving only deals with equations. Okay? Sometimes I'll say the wrong word. I go, hey, we're going to solve this. No, you're not solving it. You're simplifying it. Okay? You got to use the right terms to be able to do the proper process. Okay? This is solving. In other words, I want to find what x is that makes this equal 12. Right. You're finding the value for that x that would make that statement true. What would the value of x be? Anthony? X would be 3? No, not 3. 8.
Oh, I thought it was multiplication. I got the x and the plus mixed up.
Oh, I know. I can tell how you would get.
Well, there's the x,
Okay. So I'm going to multiply 4t times x times an equal sign?
No.
So you're saying, no, let's carry this out. This term times the equal sign. So what's that going to equal? See, that's why those little brains, you need to start using logic and common sense, okay? But the bottom line is, that can't be 4 plus 3, obviously. It's 4 plus 8. For those of you who thought it was multiplication, I'm sorry. You need to get your glasses, get your eyes checked, okay? That's why I'm circling the x, because it's a variable, okay? That's why I've told us not to put multiplication symbols with the x anymore. I've been saying that for 2 years. All right, so this is 8, the value of that variable. Now, how do we get that? Well, in your mind, you're simply going and saying, okay, I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. Okay, that's how we get it, is we do the inverse of that right there. Okay, the inverse of that right there is to do the opposite of it. Opposite of addition is subtraction. Okay, and you just subtract whatever you're adding to the x to get the answer. Okay, so this would be, your actual answer would be x equal 8. I didn't. I said subtracting 4 for those of us that were paying attention to the last 2 minutes that I was talking. You were? No, obviously you weren't. Because I never once said anything about a negative in my whole 2-minute conversation. Yes, thank you. Nicole was finally listening. Everybody give Nicole a golf clap. Golf clap. No, golf clap. Golf clap. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. There we go. That's a golf clap, because you don't clap real loud at a golf tournament. You don't. It disturbs people.
You play golf?
Golf.
So you play golf?
All right. Now, let's look at another example. Let's say I had negative 10a equal 130. Now we have multiplication. Okay, this is not addition, this is multiplication. Okay, so we don't have any multiplication signs, but we have a coefficient in front of a variable. Okay, we have a number in front of a variable. We just learned in the previous section that a number in front of a variable is called a coefficient. So the coefficient times a equals 130. Okay, so they're asking us, what do we take and multiply negative 10 by and then get a positive 130? Okay, so first of all, put your hands down. First of all, we have to know our rules for multiplying negatives and positives. Okay, the rule is that if I multiply one negative, I get a negative answer. So here I already have one negative. So if I multiply this by a positive, that means that would have to be negative. So I know that this can't be a positive, it's got to be a negative number. So I'm going to take negative 10 times another negative number, and that will give me the positive number on the other side. Okay, so what is the negative number that I'm going to multiply by to get 130? Laney? Okay, negative 13. Okay, so A would be equal to negative 13. Now, how you get that is the same way we did over here. We did the inverse operation up here, which was addition. The inverse of multiplication is division. Okay? And so how we get that is we divide both sides by negative 10. Okay? When you divide negative 10 into negative 130, then obviously that's A equal 13. Okay? So that's how A equal negative 13. So that's the equal sign. Okay, so that's how you mentally come up with that. Now, most of these, they're going to want you to solve mentally. They're going to want you to look at it and say, okay, obviously I got to plug this number in there, and that's what the number should be. Okay. Some of them, on the other hand, you may have to, do another way. Let's look at this one. 48 over u. 48 over u equals negative 3. Okay, so over here we have a positive. Okay, you have a positive number. That's not a multiplication sign, that's a positive sign. Okay, I have a positive sign, so on the bottom, what does that have to be, a negative or a positive on the bottom? Negative, because that's the only way you can get the negative answer. So I know that this number here is a negative number. Okay? What they're asking us is this. Let me set it up horizontally for you. What they want to know is this. That's what they want to know. They want to know what outside the bracket, what would I divide into negative 48 to make it negative 3? Okay? Actually, it's positive 48, my bad. I keep putting negatives where they're not going. Okay. What would I divide into 48 to make it a negative 3? Sit up. Sit up. Spine on the back of your chair. Thank you. Copeland? Negative 16. That is correct. What would go here would have to be negative 16. So u is equal to negative 16. That's the only thing you can divide into 48. And if you couldn't figure that out, then what you could do is the inverse here would be divide that 3 into 48. Divide that 3 into 48, and that'll tell you what the divisor has to be. Okay? So, once again, doing this mental math-wise. Okay? Do this one on your own. X over 5 equals 6. X over 5 equals 6. So some number divided by 5 would give me 6. Joshua? 30. Okay. X is equal to 30. How you solve that mentally is when they're looking for the top number, when they're looking for that, then you just take the bottom number times that number. Good. All right. the sum of x and 10 is 15. Okay? It's obviously a word sentence that they want us to transform into an equation. Then, okay, so they want us to plug it in, come up with the equation, and then they're going to give you a value that says, okay, is this the value of this equation? Okay? So first of all, we need the equation. So the equation of that sentence would be what? X plus 10 equal 15. Okay, now they want to know, is the solution 5? Is the solution to that equation 5? Yes. So we would put a yes. So that would be your two answers. Whoops, hang on here. Didn't circle all of it. That and that would be your answer. Okay? So both of those would be your answer. Obviously, it'd be an X for each one. All right. I want you to do 8, 9, and 10. 8, 9, and 10 on your own. They want you to come up with the equation for the sentence. Number 8. Who has an answer for number 8? Nicole?
X minus 8 equals -4.
Yes. X minus 8 equal -4. Okay. What about 9? Number 9, Gracie.
26 plus y equals 23.
Do what?
26 plus y
26 plus y
equals 23.
equal 23. Yes. 43. Okay. Then number 10 says the quotient of p and 7 is 16. What is that answer? Joshua.
WP minus 7 equals 16.
Do what?
WP minus 7 equals
WP?
minus?
No.
Or W divided? I'll do it.
Laney.
Wait, who needs the answer?
No, I want to know the equation. Yeah. P over 7 equals 16. Okay. Same thing here. Remember, this equals what? 17? What was it? 16?
Is that the same thing as dividing?
Now, this and that are the same thing. Okay? Those two problems, let me make sure it says the quotient of P and 7. Yeah. Okay, these two expressions, either one is okay. Written this way or written this way. Okay?
So it is the same. I'm going to show my mom.
Considering I said these two expressions are the same, and then you ask, so they're the same? So, yes, they would be the same, Haley. Yeah, that's why I used the word same. Same to me means the same to you as it's the same to everybody else. That's why we use the word same. It's not sane, like S-A-I-N. It's not sane or insane. It's the same. Here, let me write it out for you. Same answer. All right. Turn to page 88. Page 88. It says, scientists often use the Kelvin scale to measure temperature. The temperature K in kelvins is related to the temperature C in degrees Celsius by this formula. Okay, so they have this formula, K is equal to C plus 273 degrees. said, explain in words how to find the Kelvin temperature that is equivalent to the given Celsius temperature. So, if I have a Celsius temperature of 10 degrees, what do I have to do to it to find what Kelvin temperature is? Add what? Come on, folks. It's sitting right there on the screen. What do I do to Celsius to make it Kelvin? No, just say it in words, not in mathematical terms. What? No, I said say it in words. What do you do? Okay, stop. If I have a Celsius temperature of 10 degrees, what is the Kelvin temperature going to be? What? Okay, look at the screen. What does C stand for? Okay, what am I supposed to do to C to convert it to Kelvin? Right. Oh, wow. So in words, to say what we need to do to Celsius to make it Kelvin, we would say what? We need to add 273 degrees. Okay? I didn't realize that was going to be such a hard problem for you to understand. Okay? I'm being sarcastic, obviously. Okay? You should, folks, you gotta think, okay? There's Kelvin, so Kelvin's equal to us taking the Celsius temperature and adding 273 degrees to it. Okay, so that's what A is. We would add 270 degrees to Celsius to make it Kelvin. Okay, y'all are staring at me with blank looks, and you should be writing that down because that's one of your homework problems. Okay, everybody look at number 36 on page 88, A. Okay, I just answered that question. You are staring off in blank look like your parents have slapped you in the head too much. Obviously, the way some of you act, they haven't slapped you in the head enough. Yes, Nicole. What is C? Yeah. All right, now let's hopefully not struggle as much with B as we did with A. B says the lowest possible temperature a substance can have is 0 K. Okay, it's the lowest temperature. Okay, a substance. Now, we're not talking about air temperature. Okay, this is talking about like a piece of ice. Okay, a piece of ice is a certain temperature. Obviously, the colder the temperature gets, the harder the ice becomes. The warmer the temperature gets, it eventually what? Melts. Okay? So that's what they're talking about. Kelvin can only be 0. Okay? The lowest temperature possible is Kelvin is at 0. Okay? So let's read the rest of the statement, which is called absolute zero. What is absolute 0 in degrees Celsius? So, Kelvin, so we plug in our information. Kelvin is equal to 0 at its lowest point. Okay, that's absolute freezing, or absolute 0. Okay, so at absolute 0, okay, for that equation, forget its temperature, forget anything. For that equation, what would C have to be to make the other side 0? In other words, what would you add to a positive 273? There you go. Negative 273 degrees is what Celsius has to be. If Kelvin is 0, this temperature is 0. For this to be true, the only thing that you could do is add a negative 273 degrees Celsius to the 273 degrees. Okay? That's answer B. Says C, the table shows the melting points of several chemical elements in kelvins. Find each melting point in degrees Celsius. So what they have given us is the Kelvin temperature when it starts melting. Okay, so the first one is nitrogen. Okay, nitrogen starts melting at 63 degrees Kelvin. What they want to know is, if Kelvin is 63 degrees, then what is Celsius? Okay? So, we also know this. We also know that at 0 degrees Celsius, at 0 Kelvin degrees, Celsius was what? Negative 273, right? Okay? So as you go up with Kelvin, because Kelvin doesn't have any negative numbers, okay, just 0 and on up. So if I go up to 10 Kelvin degrees, that's going to lower the Celsius temperature from negative 273 to negative 263. If I go up to 20, it would go from negative 263 to 253, negative 253, okay? So what they're saying then is this. If I take this number right here, okay, what do I need to put with that? What does Celsius have to be? Then add 273 to it to get a positive 63. Well, first of all, the positive number is going to have to be larger than the Celsius, right? Yeah. Okay, because it has to be positive. Okay, so this number here is obviously larger than that number because it ended up a positive. And it can only end up a positive. Okay, so we know then that the lowest here would be negative 273. So we know it's not negative 273. It's got to be above that. Okay, so what is it? What do you think, Copeland? Negative 210. That is correct. Okay, negative 210 is the Celsius melting point of nitrogen. Now, let's think for a second how cold that really is. Okay, freezing is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, freezing, what we freeze at out here in the air, 32 degrees Fahrenheit. 32 degrees Fahrenheit is the same as 0 degrees Celsius. So 0 degrees Celsius is the freezing point. Okay? So negative 210 degrees Celsius, okay, that's pretty cold, right? That's when nitrogen starts melting. Okay, not when it freezes. If it's not colder than negative 210 degrees Celsius, okay, then that would be melting for nitrogen. So that'll tell you how cold nitrogen is. And my brother used to work at a place where they built helicopters, and they had a nitrogen tank that they stored stuff in that had to stay very, very cold before they started using it to build the helicopter. Well, one night he thought, I want to see how cold this is. And so he got the little things, the little metal things you put in there to get stuff out, put stuff in. And he put like his plastic watch band in there. He brought it out. I mean, he stuck it in, brought it out, and he went like this on a hard surface, and it shattered it into little bitty pieces. It froze it just like that, and when he hit it, it's like a piece of glass. That's how cold the nitrogen was. So, I mean, it froze it instantly. Now, like, for example, I believe they use nitrogen on the little things that they use to freeze warts with. You know, they freeze warts. You know, they got warts. They stick a little thing on it and freeze them. That's basically a nitrogen mix, and it just basically freezes it and kills it. That's why, because nitrogen is so cold. Huh? I don't know. I've never had that done. Huh? No, it doesn't. I don't think it hurts. I mean, from everything I've been told, it doesn't. Okay? Now, let's look at the next one, chlorine. Okay? Chlorine is 172 kelvins is the melting point. Okay? So 172. And so basically what we did here, okay, what we did to get the negative 210 is you're basically just taking 63 minus 273. Okay, well that's plus a negative. So we do the absolute value and subtract their absolute values. and that's 210. The larger absolute value is negative. So you're doing the same thing here. You're taking 172 minus 273. Okay, that would be plus and negative. Okay, that would be 273 minus 172. And what is that? What? 99? No. Because 3 minus 2 is 1. 0, 1. 101. So that'd be negative 101 would be the melting point of chlorine. Okay? And then the last two I'm going to let you do on your own once we do the homework. But that's how you do that. Okay? All right. All right. Here's what we're doing for homework. Now, we're going to go ahead and start on it right now, but you'll have the rest of class tomorrow to finish it, okay? We'll grade it at the end of class tomorrow. You're going to do 3. This is 2.4. You're going to do 3 through 36. Okay? This is due at the end of class tomorrow. Okay, so you'll have the 10 minutes we've got left in this class and then all of class tomorrow to finish it. Okay? So go ahead and get start working on it. What? Yep. No, you need to do your test